Previously on Startup, our 8 finalists tackled the sales challenge. They were given 3 minutes to introduce and pitch their products and services to a prospective client. They were judged based on their sales presentations as well as feedback from potential customers. Hello, welcome to Startup Season 2. I'm Chloe Cho.
And I'm Mohan Bilani. Thank you for joining us.
Mohan, I can't believe that we're finally nearing a finale after so many ups and downs.
Yeah, tell me about it, right?
Yeah, what does that really tell you about the kind of fun we had? But from the perspective of our finalists, a lot of hard work and a lot of challenges.
Yep. So in the past few weeks, the finalists have gone through a series of challenges in the hopes of clinching up to $2 million in venture capital investment.
Right, I'm really curious to find out who is going to emerge on top. But before that, today, we're going to take a look back at their memorable moments to illustrate what kind of a journey that they had. So Mohan, let's talk about this crowdfunding challenge, a new element that was introduced, in fact, from this season. Quite a few surprises, I would say, judging from the results that we have so far.
You know, I expected some companies to do a lot better. And there's some companies that I'm really amazed by the amount of effort they've put in to get this far.
I'm a little bit disappointed about Richard and iCargo.
It would have been really amazing if Richard would have tapped his existing network, you know, gotten them to come on board.
Another very interesting case, we have Wilson and Shopperboard. Set the bar so low. It was tough not to attain his target.
But yeah, Mark, Andrea, they've done a phenomenal job.
They really know how to tap into social media, get the crowds going, and ultimately it shows why they're ahead. I'm really curious to find out how the judges will weigh in the crowdfunding results, in fact, which we will tally up by the end of this show. All right, let's talk about the finalists. Mohan, the first two that comes to my mind, it's Andrea of Mailbird and Richard of iCargo. Very different characters, but I believe that they both exude a lot of leadership.
I totally agree. I mean, she has a very nice personality.
Absolutely. It's hard not to get infected by her bubbling personality. I think the comments from the judges, if I may add, this product may not work, but they found a lot of potential in her. So
for early stage investment, obviously, right, it's very rare that investors actually back a product. Because in most cases, the products change, the products evolve. What's really important is the capability of CEO and the team that he or she has, right? And that's where I think Andrea, you know, she really has the upper edge.
On the other spectrum, you have the calm, collected, and more reserved Richard.
You can clearly see that he's managed people before, right? He's slightly older. He spent quite a bit of time in the logistics industry. So he clearly has a good sense of how to get people to work for him and with him. The tech world is really disrupting every traditional industry you can think of, right? So logistics is just another one of those that will get disrupted by guys like iCargo. The big question is whether does Richard have a good sense of new technology and a fair understanding of how to actually implement it.
Well, Mohan, why don't we take a look back at the journey of Andrea of Mailbird and Richard of iCargo.
Andrea is super articulate. She has this infectious energy.
One quality that I really admire in Andrea is her ability to actually interact with people and make a very good first impression.
Andrea is awesome. She honestly carries herself really well.
Good, good. Nice work. We got some muscle on the team here. Yeah. Oh, shit.
In second place, Mailbird.
Can you say that in maybe 10, 15 words max?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so 10 to 15 words, let's see. Okay, an easier way to email.
Andrea from Mailbird has a very open and encouraging leadership style, and she has the tendency to positively empower the people that works with her.
Okay, so Andrea from Mailbird, the product has potential. It's meant for consumers, which is a tough market. And I think as a team, they need to think through more how to go from a consumer segment into an enterprise segment where it will have the most legs. I'm not sure that's well thought out yet.
So my thoughts on Richard is that he was very friendly, very personable.
Now, one thing I find quirky about him is that he kept trying to dress up like Steve Jobs. But he does carry the look well, though.
We had a great team. We enjoyed doing it, whatever it is.
And the top startup for this challenge is none other than iCargo.
Our marketing strategy is more direct-facing to the customers instead of digital marketing.
I liked Richard a lot. I love the idea a lot. I think someone is going to make that category work. The issue is whether it's Richard, but I thought he was a great fit for his business idea.
So with iCargo, obviously it's a sound idea. The guy behind it is very genuine. He knows exactly what he's executing and what he's looking for. What you would worry about is really the speed to market and whether he's going to try and find so many different partners to work with him and kind of hold hands before he really gets on the ground and executes and runs with it.
Welcome back. Mohan, shall we continue our conversation about the finalists?
Yep.
Yeah, what about Wilson and Shopperboard?
I have a lot of respect for the fact that their app has gotten quite a bit of traction, they've been featured, but, I would think that they should find a way to pivot to a sector that they are personally passionate about and, build a similar product around that sector, and that could actually get them a lot more traction. Bear in mind, though, if you look at the tech world in Silicon Valley and in most parts of the world now, it's really the product and technology guys that are running and changing industries. So, if you look at Facebook, for example, Zuckerberg was never the most sociable person around. It's their use of technology and understanding their customers that got them to where they are. So it could be that Wilson is, applying that kind of methodology to it, and I guess only time will tell to see how far they go.
Yeah, and Zaya of K2 Lab. What do you think about him? In person, he's so pleasant, quiet, calm.
He's a nice guy.
Very nice.
His real challenge is whether he is able to find the customers in the right segment. And that's, I think, something he's still figuring out, right?
But, Myanmar's restaurant industry, food and beverage industry is just coming up.
I think he could have actually a huge opportunity with his business.
And do we care that he didn't perform as well in our competition? He doesn't really have kill mentality, right?
He might not have performed well from a scoring perspective, but you could see that he had the right attitude.
Right.
And I think, investors, mentors, they value that more than anything else.
Yeah, I think once you look at Zaya and you take him out of the context of this competition, I think he'll actually do pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll go back to Myanmar, with a lot of new learnings and skills.
Let's talk about AnyNails. Candice, your thoughts?
A product I have no knowledge or clue about. I think she could have done better at some of the challenges.
I agree.
But clearly what's going to bring this company forward is their ability to partner with amazing companies. And that's something Candice and AnyNails has shown very well, right? They had some feature on the Emmy Awards and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think as long as Candice can continue to go for amazing partnerships like that, the product will be able to go forward and the company will move along.
And let's take a look at their journey. We've got Candice of AnyNails, Zaya of K2 Lab, and Wilson of Shopperboard.
I think that he's a very steady character.
He perhaps, observes a lot. He's very soft-spoken. But the fact is that he does have a deep reservoir of knowledge in regards to people's digital buying habits. That's one thing I need to give about him.
Do you think it's better for us to split it up or you want to do it together?
Have you thought about the demographic profile? Who are you targeting for this?
Yeah, it's very clear. It's 18 to 35 ladies who love online shopping. For today's objective, basically, is to tell you how Shopperboard is able to drive traffic to Love Bonito and eventually increase sales for your site.
In second place, Shopperboard. Wilson from Shopperboard. I like the personality. I could feel the drive in him.
One thing that was memorable for me was the ramping up of Wilson. He started off, the first challenge, he didn't do well at all, okay? But he just kept improving and improving. And that shows that he's able to change things when things need to be changed. And that's very important for an entrepreneur, to be able to listen and change course when it's needed.
One thing I actually discovered is that he's actually married and he has a child. So that tender part of him and that responsibility is something that is quite inspiring to see, and I think it also translated well to how he actually manages his startup.
He gave me a lift home. Come on, how awesome is that? So the thing is that I got nothing bad to say about somebody that offers you a ride.
Of course, I think we need to use what's more here. Very good. Our key message here is Smart Save is your F&B solution. Very short, very sweet.
So how many units can you control?
We have restaurants using more than 20 tablets at the same time. So in terms of scalability-wise, it's already proven and tested.
Very quiet, very reserved. But on the other hand, he managed his team very well during the leadership challenge, for example. And he was always trying to learn, trying to get as much input from the mentors as possible.
This company is evolving in a very different environment in Myanmar. It's an environment where basically he's had to really push and cover a lot of ground by himself because there's not a lot of support systems out there. So just the fact that he's achieved what he's achieved so far, I think is fantastic.
She does come across as a very fashionable person.
Candice is dangerous, I would say that. She is. She's probably going to win.
It lasts 14 days. It doesn't chip. You can scratch it, nothing comes off.
We'll try it tonight.
Yeah, it looks like it. This is going okay, I think. I hope.
Our focus now is on strategic brand partnerships that will help us to reach out to lots of customers globally in a cost-effective manner.
And in the top place, we have AnyNails.
One of the things I'd like to see in her is to become a little bit less left brain, a little bit less like a banker, and a little bit more like a creative entrepreneur. I felt like she was trying. It'll be very interesting to see how that process ends up.
They need to make sure that they get the word out there and people understand what the brand and what the brand experience really stands for, and figuring out means of distribution and work extra hard to deliver that seamless adoption. A lot of these retail businesses and brands, they need to try out as many things as possible at the start because they don't really know who is going to buy. But once you get a certain point, you suddenly realize that for whatever reason, these are the 2-3 verticals that like you, and you just got to push forward.
Next, we hear from Mr. Chu Ki-seong, head of enterprise banking at United Overseas Bank, on how businesses can grow and scale up, as well as on the opportunities and challenges of regional expansion in ASEAN.
Traditionally, the technology startups have difficulties in obtaining financing from the likes of the commercial banks. Typically, we have to look at a business plan, how viable it is, what is the potential of the market size that we're talking about. As we all know, the ASEAN, there's a big population that we're talking about, 600 million. So potentially looking at a consumer potential of 600 million. With the recent introduction of the venture debt risk-sharing program by the government, it is a timely and forward-looking move. This will increase the credit appetite of the commercial banks. Venture debt is also attractive to the technology startups because compared to equity raising, it's less dilutive. Importantly, to venture into such market, you should look at partnering a bank like UOB, which has an extensive network in the region, especially in the ASEAN countries, with a deep understanding of the local culture and operating business dynamics in these countries. And we can offer relevant advice as the SMEs require.
Welcome back, and our conversation continues on the finalists. So, Mohan, let's pick up on Kenneth of Novelis.
Kenneth, yeah. He's like the start of the show in some sense. Yeah? Kind of guy you want to bring on a mum. But, I give Kenneth a lot of credit, right? He's working on a consumer gadget device in the hardware space, and that's really not easy.
His product is something that I can clearly see the logic and understand.
Whether he succeeds or not is a different thing, but to have that kind of bold ambition to go for this kind of market where, giants like Intel and all that are really looking at, Kenneth probably needs to polish up his focus on the consumer angle and realize that, the bar is actually a lot higher than he thinks he is.
Yeah, speaking of polishing up, we might say the same for the flamboyant Mark of Templo. Very charismatic, has a lot of things to say, never short on words, but...
I actually have a lot of respect for Mark. I think he's done a phenomenal job with Templo. He's a true blue hustler. Right?
A real trooper.
He gets things done, he executes. He's literally the guy doing all the background work as well as the foreground work.
What about the business model? After all, isn't Singapore already in full employment?
The bigger issue, though, is that there are a lot of platforms like this already.
Right, and so ultimately that raises the issue of how sustainable his business model is.
But knowing Mark, right, he's not going to let it fail, or he's not going to give up anytime soon.
Given his drive and passion, I really do wish Mark well. I hope he does well beyond the realm of this competition. And let's take a look back, Mohan, at their journey. Here's Mark of Templo and Kenneth of Novelis.
Kenneth has a lot of energy, and I love talking with Kenneth because he's so friendly and open.
You know, this is the kind of guy that you put him on TV. It's like, girl, this kind of boy you must marry. Must marry this kind of boy, okay? Yeah, really, he's that kind of guy.
A very good afternoon, panel of investors. My name is Kenneth, and I'm from Novelis. So if we focus more on the go-to-market strategy, it's really branded under the name Need Juice. So there's actually an increase in ROI because we believe that 1 out of 4 to 5 people will actually react to the ad that is being pushed through.
I think you are presenting your product more from your point of view than consider from their point of view.
So Kenneth and team, what they have the benefit of is that they can create enough potential options with the different models of the business, whether it's B2B, B2C, etc., and kind of see what will latch on.
So you can tell that he takes criticism well. He's not defensive, he has an open mind to it. And I think that's absolutely critical, to be open to pivot and adjust and take on improvements. And I think Kenneth has that in spades.
At first, he may come off very obnoxious and very overbearing, but actually, on the inside, when you actually get to know him more, he's actually very sincere. So on one occasion, he actually cooked laksa for all of us. Those are nice things that people don't really see. And I would love to, be his friend for the rest of my life.
Mark's leadership, I would say, has a bit of charisma, so he's more like a gentleman helping the girl.
Well, you get to design your own job. No? So that doesn't resonate well?
No, design your job.
Design your job. Oh. Don't need the word own. Okay, all right.
The branding, right? It's red. It's the color of blood. It's the color of passion. I'm here basically to talk to you about my platform, Templo, which is a manpower marketplace that anonymously and automatically connects part-timers to jobs.
And the winner for this challenge, Templo.
Mark from Templo is a very passionate founder of this company. He loves what he's doing. He has a lot of self-confidence, and I think the important thing for Mark is to ensure that he uses this to rub it off with the people who works with him to ensure that they are inspired and motivated to achieve the best that they can achieve.
He is very high energy. He shows great passion in everything he does, and that's a bit of a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. It can work for you and against you. But I firmly believe that Mark is one of those entrepreneurs where if he fails 9 times, he'll go back a 10th time, and he will come out a successful entrepreneur.
And Mohan, this competition has not been short on surprises, even including what happened to one of our finalists.
I know, it's quite unfortunate, but Varun from Corporate 360 is actually pulled out due to personal reasons.
Yeah, we had to say goodbye, but Varun, we wish you all the best. And there are some interesting moments behind the scenes involving Varun, if I may look back. Let's talk about the first challenge that he had tackled, assembling flat pack furniture.
So he was actually really excited by the fact that he got the job done. And I remember specifically how he was adamant that, the chair is fixed. It's done.
Right.
You can sit on it and it works fine. When there was a clear fault in the way it was assembled. There's a big difference between getting something done and getting something right.
Exactly. Yeah. He probably was disappointed that he didn't make it in the top 3, and I don't think he was too happy about that.
At the end of the day, startups and founders learn from these, and hopefully they grow as a result, right?
And we certainly hope so. And Mohan, let's take a look back at Varun's journey with us.
I pretty much looked at him and I said, okay, your business is doing amazing. So you are going to definitely win the competition.
His story is that one of where he actually dropped out of school and went on to actually create a $1 million company. That's really impressive.
He may be a little bit brusque, he may be a little bit rough, but on a personable level, right, he contributes very intelligently to conversations, and he actually has rather deep insights.
Hi. Hi. Good morning.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me. Guys, sorry you lost, but from point B to the next level, we are going through a transition phase wherein we are looking at several business ideas such as enhancing our branding. Here we use data as a service approach, so you get predictive analytics on top of it. So that is the insight that we bring in along with all the other data components.
Unfortunately, in last place, we have Corporate 360.
Certainly, I feel very strong disconnect with the judges. The interactions have not been done to explain the business or understand the business.
I can't sort of connect, we can't connect it to him. And that is very unfortunate.
It's actually for him to share with us his business model. If he could not help us to understand despite our experience in investing in many different types of startups, perhaps he didn't articulate well enough on his business model.
I actually think Corporate 360, a very good product. But there's a classic case where the core value proposition of the product just wasn't coming through. A lot of entrepreneurs, particularly tech entrepreneurs, get wrapped around the technical specifications, right? How many APIs, how many terabytes of data you can process, whatever it might be. If you're the consumer, not important. You have to talk about what are the core value proposition, how is it going to help me solve my problem?
If you think of the judges as his board of directors, and if he doesn't clearly understand his product, I mean, he has standing a very large risk of being voted out of his own company.
Varun from Corporate 360 has done a tremendous job in building his company to where it is now. But I believe that for Varun to bring his company to the next level, he needs to enhance and develop his leadership capabilities so that he can improve as a person and drive his company the right way forward.
Success can sometimes blindside you. So in the case of Varun, he needs to stay open-minded to feedback, to learn, and to not necessarily assume that a prior success will lead to a future success.
And we wish Varun and all the other finalists well in their entrepreneurial journey, because we are about to reveal the results of the crowdfunding campaign, and the clock stopped ticking at 11:59 on the dot on the 8th of March.
I don't know about you, Chloe, but I am super excited.
Me too.
Yeah, so let's take a look.
Mailbird was the crowdfunding pleaser, raising $8,150 from 237 supporters. Novelis raised $2,404 with support from 60 sources. Shopperboard met its target of $208 from 21 supporters. iCargo raised $10 from just one source. K2 Lab saw 28 supporters pledging $2,426. Templo raised $4,128 with funding from 78 backers. AnyNails took second place with $5,093 from 108 supporters.
So there you have it. Congratulations to our winners.
But do bear in mind, Chloe, that the results do not affect the final outcome of the competition.
Do stay tuned to find out who will emerge on top. There may be more than one winner, so stay tuned.
See you next week.
In our finale next week, the startups will present their final pitches to the venture capitalists for a chance at winning seed funding to fuel their next stage of growth. The results of the previous challenges will only serve as a guideline for the judges to determine the startup's strengths and weaknesses. Bear in mind, those results will not guarantee any advanced standing whatsoever. The final outcome still depends very much on the business idea, timing, and the potential for market disruption.